know that's going to happen.
Hanging in my shop. So.
Yo, good day, and welcome to another episode of the RoadFS DetailBookie Podcast. We are super excited that opener has us kind of jacked because we're going to be at the Peterson Auto Museum with Sonax and Auto Geek.
This Saturday, we're going to be going live. We get to do some really, really fun stuff. I'm jacked because we get to actually work on the Steve McQueen's The Bullet Mustang.
Bullet.
So we're actually going to go do some polish work on the Bullet Mustang. Always fun because you have no idea who in the hell painted that car 40 years ago or whatever. And so that's always fun. We got to work on his Jaguar that you saw in the opener there. And it was Rod
was in heaven.
It was really cool to work on, but man, that paint was like you could hit it with the softest pad in the entire world and it turned green. So it was some yucky stuff. So today we have a really awesome guest. We have Jason Killmer.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Jason?
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Dude, we are so excited to have you on the show. I had the opportunity to officially meet you back at the Rad Company.
That's right.
You came over and did a scratch training, man. I can't even speak today.
I did a sanding training.
Sanding training.
That was the first time we'd actually physically met you. And
hopefully I was nice. So
you were
very nice.
You actually you were intimidating. You scare a lot of people because they have this expectation of what they need to know. And I think that's literally part of the problem with any training is you're going there to learn. You're not going there to show off. And so,
that's what you should do. But a lot of people want to show off, and it's like, man, that's not what you're here for.
Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna hit one of the things on Facebook here real quick. But that is one of the things I think that is when you meet somebody, right? So people that have followed and seen you, you're all over the place. You've done some really high end, really cool cars. And then when they meet you in person, you're just sort of this really normal, down-to-earth guy. And I think they build up these expectations that, you're going to judge them or something. And it's like, that's the whole reason you're doing those trainings. It was a fabulous training, hands-on. We were doing it was a baby blue hood off of a 1965 Mustang is what we were working on. So how long, let's start with this. How long have you been doing trainings, and then how long have you been sanding prior to even doing trainings?
I've been sanding. I started when I was 19. Did a couple of body shop stints, hot rods, that sort of thing. But I started doing $1 million cars when I was 22.
Wow.
So, we won our first Pebble Beach and Ridler the same year. That was in like 2006 or 2007. So I've been blessed to do an awful lot of cool things with a lot of cool people.
Yeah. And I would say that's one of the things that really, it's interesting because it humbles me when we get to do something like we're talking about Steve McQueen's car. It's very humbling to be able to do that. We know we're blessed beyond belief because not everybody gets to do that. Everybody dreams about doing that stuff, but we actually get to go do that. And so I kind of slow down, like you can see in that intro how much I was enjoying working on that car, because as I'm working on that car, like I was working on the Steve McQueen's Jag, I'm thinking about the whole time about the history of this vehicle and what it's been through and who's had their hands on it and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not thinking about it like I do, and I'm going to air quote, a normal car, right? Somebody brings in a car and goes, hey, I just got a fresh paint job. I need you to, do a sand and polish this. But those kind of things they're not the norm, right? I mean, you're not constantly working on those kind of cars. Like you were saying, you've got a 56 you're working on. How many, I'm going to say normal, but just how many regular people that nobody's heard of do you work on their cars per year?
All the time. I'm just known for the really high-end stuff, but I do normal stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you because like there's so many aspects of auto recon, auto detailing. Why scratch repair? Why Sandy?
With me,
Yeah.
You want the real answer?
I want the real answer.
Okay. Okay, so I was born with cerebral palsy, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this hand works. This hand
Yep.
doesn't. Sanding takes one hand. That's why.
Wow.
And it's interesting because we work with another guy named Carter Jones who's up in Canada, and he's got and Carter is, again, when we were there at the rag company, I think that's the biggest thing that blew people away, right? They see what you work on, they see you right now, and they don't really get that inside story. And then you walk in and people are like, oh my God, this guy, how did you do that? Well, I think it's one of those things where you've just committed yourself to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say this about car people, anybody that works on cars, we actually have, I think, a deficiency in our brain.
Oh yeah, totally.
We're actually just dumb enough to think we can do it. And so then we just go and do it. And people are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I have
no clue.
Get over the fear. You have to get over the fear. And I think that is probably the biggest thing for me anyway. And you can answer this as well. But the biggest thing I think people see that's a problem with sanding is there's a fear that they're going to hurt the car. You're taking off material when you're polishing. So sanding is just actually another method of leveling off the surface. You do have to be careful with it, especially if you're using something, 800 grit or less.
Lower.
But you can use 2000 grit and burn through paint if you're too aggressive or you're pushing too hard or too much pressure.
I mean, you can burn through with a ported cable, DA, and a foam pad. Then I've done it. So it's all cleaning, washing, coating. It's all the same thing. It's all about movements. It's how you move that media, whether it's a wash pad or a sanding block to a buffer, in the shape of the panel. And what we're doing is we're taking all these different shapes and blending it into one. That's all it is. It's very basic. Yeah,
but it also is. I mean, you say basic, but I even watching people at the training that we were at with you on that hood, there's a lot of things that, again, you don't know what you don't know. And so one of the really cool things, and it scared the hell out of me, just so you know, but on that 65 hood, the hood starts out this way, and then it has a really sharp curve, and then it goes off to the end. So there's a rounded part, and then there's a really sharp edge on a Mustang hood. And I have worked on cars for a very long time. And when I was working in the restoration industry, I thought I was polishing cars. What I was really doing is making bigger scratches with a rotary. But I did learn how to sand, and I knew that when you come up to a sharp edge like that, you have to stay off of it because it's going to get hit the most with the polisher. So we were sanding on that car, and we were using you had brought some blocks with you from KXK that you'd worked with and stuff. And so we were feathering those in, and I left this spot where I didn't sand. And you literally scared the hell out of me because you came up and you pointed at, you go, who sanded this hood right here? Who sanded this hood? And I thought, oh man, I screwed up. I thought I knew what I was doing. And I said, me? And you're like, okay, everybody come look at this. And I thought, oh my God, here we go.
Teaching moment.
Yeah. And it was like, no, but the cool part about it is you said, this is what you need to do. Why did you hold off on the sharp part? And I said, well, because I know that's going to get hit with the polisher. And so for this particular car, we needed to hold off of that until we saw, if it had a defect or something, one thing, but hold off of that because the polisher, you'll take off more material than you want. And so you were actually saying it was good. And I was like, oh, good. So anyway,
he visibly
I was like, oh, shit.
But he's like, Jason's coming to teach.
But I think that's that thing is the teaching moment, like you said. That is anybody that's burned through paint. And I know anybody that's actually touched a car has done that because that's how you learn.
My nickname was Bernie for 8 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Really?
So, yeah. No, that's no joke. That's the truth.
Wow. So let's talk about that. You had 8 years of burning through. So what did that teach you? How did you feel through that process? And I think more importantly,
yeah.
what did you become through that process?
Well, it made me better, right? You learn from the good and the bad and the ugly, but the thing is, most people give up before that. And I never gave up because that was my life.
Mm-hmm.
That those 8 years of burning, and I still burn every once in a while, but that was my life growing up with a disability. So it was nothing out of the norm. So it just from the ridiculing and the bullying and stuff like that in school, it just translated when I was burning paint. So, made fun of, joked with all that, but really what got me through it was my attitude. It was my general positive attitude of like, okay. So what that taught me was how to teach better.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can spend 30 or 40 seconds like we did with you to show you what to do, and then now you know what to do.
Yeah.
So my mentors didn't do that with me, which is good and bad, right? I learned my way.
Yeah.
But that's why I enjoy teaching, because 30 seconds of a little tutorial, we can really curtail some of those issues that you may be having.
Yeah. But the nice part is that, so I can go watch 1,000 videos tomorrow on any topic, right? I can go out to YouTube and watch a video, but until I actually physically do something,
Do it. Yeah.
yeah, you don't know. And so I always tell people, in any situation, especially with sanding for sure, I would say go to a junkyard, get a panel, and see what it takes to burn through it. Literally, physically, see how much you have to do, how much pressure, how much time, how many strokes, all that stuff. I bought I'm sure you've seen these denim discs, these denim pads.
I use them.
It had a backing, a foam backing. I mean, it wasn't bad, but they are so aggressive that I was able to burn through paint. And I did it on purpose, but I did it like 3 passes, like 1, 2, 3, and I was through to primer. Because I wanted to see how aggressive you could be with that thing. And I think the contrast to that is a little less pressure and it doesn't burn through. And it's the same thing with sanding. I think a lot of people, and you answer this question, maybe it's a question, I won't even say it. Do you think that pressure is one of the keys to people messing up with sanding?
Yes. That's one of them. Pressure and going too long a pass. Because as you go longer with your arm, your pressure changes.
Yep.
So what I do is I keep my shoulder and my elbow tight to my body, and that's as far as I go. And then also that's lengthened my career because my shoulder's still good. So there's a couple of reasons why.
Yeah, and I think that, I think there's a difference. I watch oh my God, I can't think of the name of the shop right now, but there's a gal named Hillary, and she does restorations.
Yeah, she's up in Canada.
Yeah. Really, really, really good tutorials on stuff. But I see so many of these people that'll get these blocks that are this big. And like you said, they're going full length on the car. And it's just like painting. When you're painting, everything's in a circle. If you went like this gets more paint than this over here because you're closer to the substrate. And sanding is the same way. And then when you watch somebody, Jamie at J&G, little teeny tiny short strokes. And we were watching a sanding video he was doing on a all original 912 Porsche, beautiful car, single stage. And literally he was wet sanding it, and you could see the pattern that he was doing was almost identical. So you know
where he got that from?
From you.
He took a class with me. Yeah. That's how.
Yep. Yeah. So, and Jamie, and that's why I bring that up, is Jamie's got that down to where when you put that into your brain, and once you realize everything should be the same pressure and everything, is just like polishing, right? More pressure here, less pressure here is going to have a different effect.
So go ahead. Sorry.
It boils down to muscle memory. So the more muscle memory you have, it becomes second nature, where you're not even thinking, and you're just reacting to the surface. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
So I have 2 questions. I'm going to ask the first one and then let you answer it. So the first one is, I want to go back to those 8 years that you recall burning. You mentioned something that it made you a better coach. What was it about those 8 years that made you a better mentor, a better coach?
Because I know the pain of making a mistake.
Yeah.
And if we can help someone, and mistakes are good, right? I've lost more than I've won, but I think that's what makes me really good is the authentic, real attitude of being just real with people, and knowing where you want to go, and just getting to the point where you just do it, and know that 9 days out of 10 are going to be bad days. You just know that. I mean, and that comes from being born with a disability and just being real and authentic with people, because most people try to hide it or whatever. And that's the biggest thing, is the having the right attitude, and then just doing the very best you can do.
Yeah.
Well, and that kind of leads me to my second question. You talk about, you're sanding and you're keeping your elbow close to your body and doing really small movements.
Yeah.
And there's so many applications to that analogy in business and in life. So do you find that as you've built your business, as you've worked through the challenges in life, that you've had better success making smaller, more deliberate and strategic movements, or in trying to make the bigger movements and making bigger leaps all at once?
Small. It's everything is all in the smalls. It's all the little things that add up to the big thing. If you were to look at my career day by day, minute by minute, you'd be like, that guy's a failure. But if you look at the whole career and what I've done, what I've been blessed to do, and who I've been able to work with, you're like, that it all adds up. So, but like I said, knowing that every day is not going to be a great day. That's just life.
Yeah, and I think that I want to go back to the first question about the what you're calling failures. And I actually have a wall in my shop. I call it the wall of shame. And when I've made mistakes, or I find something that's just bad, or something that I did 20 years ago that's just horrible that I wouldn't even think about doing today, I hang it on that wall. And one of my kids asked me once, because I got this. It's the ear off of a brand new transmission, completely snapped off, hanging on the wall. She's like, "Why do you have that?" I said, "Because that reminds me of a mistake I made in not torquing down this transmission properly, and it cost me $1,000 or more for a new case and rebuilding a transmission because of me trying to hurry through something." And so it's a reminder. It's not bashing myself. It's not coming down on myself. It's just a reminder. And it also helps me to overcome the bad days, because I literally now go, well, there's one for the wall of shame. And it doesn't, I think that's biggest problem is if when we start coming down on ourselves for doing something, there is no exact anything, right? I'm sure you've hit a car before where you're working on it and you go and you measure this. Do you remember what the measurement was on that 55 that we did the pill clear on? One area was 6 mils.
And
the other one was
like
57 mils. There's that much
huge.
Bondo in that thing. And so if you're in a hurry and you're working on a car and you're just like, I'm just going to buff this out real quick and go, and all of a sudden you put too much heat on it and you crack the paint and you're like, oh no, well, it's the Bondo underneath, and you've separated it from the substrate. And so that could be a huge mistake. And the stuff is there. Before we got on camera, I was telling you, this 55 panel looks really good. But when you look at the back of it, it is so thick with crap. There's stuff like that out there. And so you've got to look at it with an open mind every time and go, okay, I don't know what's in this car, right? We can assume if I'm looking at a 2025 Honda that's never been painted, it might be semi consistent. But anytime you're working on classics or older cars, you have no idea. This thing could be patchwork. It could be, it could have a really good painter that makes it look good, but the bodywork sucks. It could have rust. So
well, even newer cars, you think about that car in Salt Lake where we were doing the training and we got around and all of a sudden there's a sag on the door.
Yeah. So we were in Salt Lake and we were at a training for ceramic coating, and it was in 2019. And this was a 2019 Dodge. So
same year,
new car. We pull it in, everybody starts working on it. And I went to this front fender and I went, whoa, hold on. There's a sag. There is a sag in the paint. We started looking at it. It had been repainted. It was a less than a year old car that had been repainted. And so I actually took the fender. I wanted the sag because I wanted to see what, I could do with this little sag. And it was a metallic paint. So you know how that's going to work if you start sanding on the metallic and all of a sudden you got a flat spot or something. So switching topics, 180 degrees. What is your favorite color to work on?
Oh,
Black.
Why?
Because if you get black right, there's no better.
Yep.
What's the worst color to work on is white because you can't see it.
Yep. You're blinded by black. Mine, I hate silver. I hate silver. It just silver's funky, metallics, anything that's custom like that is hard. So the other one would be, what do you have this year? We're almost halfway through 2026, which I can't believe. But what do you have coming up this year, the rest of the year that's a bigger projects for you?
There's 2 projects right now that are being painted as we speak. They've been 10-year builds. So we've been waiting on those.
10-year builds.
So
how but yours 27. So 10-year builds. How long will it be in your hands?
Probably pretty short, but we still have a lot of work to do. Both those cars will be sanded. One is a 70 Camaro or 69. I think it's a 70. And the inside of the floorboards where you sit is going to be color sand polished.
Oh yeah,
wow.
That's high end.
That is high end. Wow.
Yeah. And that car's going black.
Yep.
So you work on a lot of cool stuff.
I work on the 1%er stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about that 1%. Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of detailers, a lot of business owners that want to be in that 1% realm. That is an elite group. What is your advice to them, both against it and for it?
Don't do it.
Why?
Because the amount of sleep I've lost, the amount of money, emotional, stressed, basically stressed for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So you walk in stress.
Yeah.
Because
it's like
I'm one pass away from making a mistake.
Yeah.
But it has to be done yesterday, and it has to be done perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
how do you deal with that pressure?
I have a good support system. I have a amazing wife that believes in me and gets my head out of my butt when it's in my butt. And so I mean, yeah.
Well, I think that the other thing is staying grounded, staying just a regular person, right? Not getting a big ego about it, I think is a big key to that, because at the end of the day, they're just cars, but certain people don't look at it that way. And I think that is, I think people that aren't in that world don't understand that the expectations that people have. We deal with a lot of stuff with aviation as well, and these are multi-million-dollar planes, and the expectations that people have. First off, there is no perfect. I don't care who painted the car; it's not perfect. And you're going to find mistakes in it. And like you said, I think all detailers are a couple passes away from making a big mistake, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think that is, and then owning up to that too. I watched a guy. This is one of the most just I can't even imagine. But we were at the SEMA show, and we were walking around looking at cars. Me and Adrian Granados, and there was a guy polishing a black. It's black with the white stripes, like 72 Chevelle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling everybody how to polish a car, and he's polishing this car, and he's polishing this car, and he's been doing it the whole weekend.
Oh,
And I'm like, Adrian and I were walking by it going, he's polished that hood about 32 times. And all of a sudden, this gray stripe shows up on the side of the hood. And I'm like, he just burned through the paint. He just absolutely burned. And I'm talking about a strip 2 feet wide. This is, he went all the way through. And he just kept going and talking like it was normal. And we just sat there and shook our heads. I was like, he just burned the paint on a car at the SEMA show on like day 2 or 3. I mean, he's got 2 days to go, and it's trashed. It's a repaint. So,
yeah.
So how do you deal with mistakes, especially with your customers? What's that?
Repaint them and keep on going.
Yep.
Repaint.
You just don't think twice. Just when you burn through, it goes in you scuff it again real quick, put it in the booth, and keep on going. Don't even pause. It's not even a thing.
Yeah.
So is that community? So, and part of the reason why I'm asking that is because I think a lot of times, especially in detailers, they just want to hide a mistake instead of owning it, fixing it. So what does that look like from the perspective of not only repairing it, but in every situation, do you have to communicate that to the customer, or is it just part of your process and they're trusting you to deliver?
I mean, you always communicate. I always tell people I'm going to burn through. So if you're okay with that, we can do this. If not, then I'm not the guy for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're setting the expectation. You're setting the expectation up front.
Oh yeah.
Good. And I think because if you repaint a panel or a whole car or whatever, and you don't tell the client, that's really bad. That's you've got to be able to communicate with that. And I think that is some of the things that I think that you could put in a little soundbite, right? Always communicate with your customers. Set expectations ahead of time. These are not just, Jason Killmer's sanding recommendations. This is like business, right? You do that with anything. I don't care if you're detailing and you never touch a sander. I don't care if you're a detailer and you're going to remove the seat. If you don't tell the client you're removing the seats and you're not certified to do that, you shouldn't be taking it out. I see all these people taking wheels off of cars to polish them, and I'm like, if you don't have the ability and the knowledge to do that, you should not be doing it.
Come on, it's just 6 bolts.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a carbon fiber, rotor that you just spent $12,000 on. So I think, in general, again and again we hear this advice, but that's really what it comes down to is communication with your clients and setting that expectation where, like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but I will get it as good as I possibly can. And I have a good relationship with a painter.
Yep. Very much.
Yeah. So let's do some stuff for people that don't know you, that have never had experience with you. Where are you at physically in the country?
Okay. I live in a town called Ording, Washington. So basically the base of Mount Rainier.
Yep.
Nice.
So that's where I currently live. For 15 years, I was never home. So I was somewhere around the country on an airplane or at a shop, sanding and buffing a car.
So you were a traveling sander.
Yeah.
And so now you have your own shop and people ship to you?
Nope. I still just travel around. I'm just more locally based now. So.
Yeah. Which is good. You can have. Does that helped you in your? And I'm going to say this term, and I hate it, but has that helped you in your personal life?
Yeah. When you have 2 little babies under 3 and you're away and your wife still works full time, yeah.
Yeah. But and the reason I say I hate that statement is because everything is your personal life, right? Today is our personal life. We are doing this instead of doing something else, right? And so we have to constantly think about that. What are we doing and how is this affecting the rest of us? And so I think, and I knew that about you you had kids and everything. And that I think is, at the end of the day, that's more important than any of this. Like I said, it's just cars. And I used to get really wound up about it, right? I really would get wound up, stressed out completely about perfect. And honestly, it took me running over Jody's car with my truck to it really did. And that's not a joke, because I have a big 4-wheel drive truck, and I just was having a really bad day, and I turned the wheel. I just turned the wheel before I backed up, and I literally drove up the side of Jody's BMW. There were tire tracks on the mirror, and then door and quarter panel.
And I can't buff that out. I'm not that good.
I totally went, and I was like, and I was pissed, man. I went and I was all cussing. I'm like, God, I just ran over your freaking car. And Jody looks at me and he goes, dude, it's just a car.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it really did set me back, and we were able to, we know a really good PDR guy. He spent 12 and a half hours, and he was able to take everything out of the car.
He did a great job. Shout out to Nate.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Shout out to Nate.
So, but that's the thing is that kind of set me back, and I was like, yeah, you know what? It really is just a car. It's not the end of the world.
Exactly. Just a car and just a person, and that's all it is.
Yep. So, do you still do trainings for people?
Mm-hmm.
Are they set up as a group or individual?
We do group trainings with Jonathan Munson.
Okay.
So from his garage where we train now in Graham to my garage is 12 minutes away.
Oh, wow. You guys are close.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do people find out about a training, and how do you set them up, and how often, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, Jonathan just takes care of all that. He's the business end of the deal. I just come in, I do my thing, and I'm there for 2 days. We try to do a training every month, and I leave. So
there you go. So
I'm still able to do all my other stuff that I enjoy to do. So
nice.
So do you like teaching?
Yes, I do.
I mean, because you're really good at it. I mean, you really are an excellent teacher, and that's kind of why I asked the question. What was it about those 8 years that made you a better teacher? Because I've been to so many trainings, and some of the trainings, it's all about ego. Look at me, puffing on my chest, I have all this experience. And then I've been with other guys that they get side by side and go, hey, just try this, or try, switch your hands this way. And that's what I see in you. So I assumed you enjoyed it. What have you learned through teaching?
It makes me better at what I do. It keeps me on my toes, and when we get someone that's really good, I think there's a lot. We've had a couple of people come across that are just really good, and I usually take them aside and say, hey, let me work with you a little bit more. I see something in you that maybe a little bit in me when I was younger. Do you really enjoy this, and do you want to go further? And some people are okay with just the basic, 2-step coding and 2-step correction, and away they go. So, and that's fine too. It's not what I do is not for everybody. So,
yeah. Well, I definitely, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I could not do PPF. I definitely couldn't do PPF. And I don't know if I could do sanding, just because of, it's weird, because sometimes I feel like those kind of activities, those tasks, that craft can be very monotonous, but there's also something cathartic about it where, dude, there's those times where, like, I'm in the zone working on my boat, and it's just like, I got the headphones on, I'm listening to music, and I'm just having a good day, right? But I could also see it every day, just going, oh God, why the heck am I doing this?
I'm doing 6 cars at the same time right now. So, and I got one in California coming up. So
Yeah, but I think part of that is just to take it a piece at a time. You just have to take that piece at a time and go with it. That's what, my wife will come out in the shop every once in a while and she'll look at what I'm doing with some of the truck that I'm building right now. And she's just like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, you just have to take it a piece at a time and, just look at it that way. If you look at the whole project, you look at everything you have to do, it's too overwhelming.
Yeah.
So you have to take it as it comes. And again, you've only got so many hours in the day and you have to limit yourself. I have noticed since the time that we met at the rag company, which was several years ago, that you have done less of the traveling, which is good because like you said, it affects your home life and you don't want to do that. You don't want your kids to remember you as the guy that was always gone.
Well, and that's what there was a moment in time a few years ago, and my wife basically sat me on the couch and said, "Listen, you got to choose what you want to do."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What does that mean?" She's like, "What do you think that means?" So, that was the wake up call that I needed, and that's tough to hear, but she was 1,000% right. So.
Yeah. Well, and I always, my wife's had this thing that she says all the time, and she's very, she works in corporate America, and she works at a kind of a high level, but she's always had this attitude that it doesn't matter who somebody is. She always says, at the end of the day, we could all be digging ditches tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it and go, at some point, you and I could be sitting on a porch somewhere, just rocking back and forth, talking about our life. And we're probably going to talk about our kids and our family and, our interests as far as personal interests. But I don't think we're going to be going, this one time I made $50,000. Who cares, right? That's not what it's about.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I think that's what people need to kind of take a step back and say, what is really important, right? And Jody said that several times. We've had, Jody and I've been doing this for 17 years on the software side of things, and then a couple of years before that. But I've heard him say multiple times, at the end of the day, this is about relationships. It's not about money. It's not about anything else. So, that to me, that's the advice I would give people is, it's really important. Your business is important to you. A lot of people, they hold it right here, and that's okay. But as long as you put everything in perspective and you don't let that take over your whole life. Too many people ruin their life over a business.
Yeah, who cares at the end of the day? And it's not even important, and nobody cares.
Yeah,
how much money you had in the bank when you've died, and how many cars you have. It's completely relative.
Yeah, for sure.
So what have you learned along the way? I mean, you got quite the extensive journey, man.
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. You're gonna have to be more specific.
Well, like if there were one or two things that just like stick out in your mind, like Rod driving over my BMW, what are those? What are one or two lessons that you think would be very helpful for a small business owner aspiring to build their business?
I said yes to too many people at one time, and my communication was not there. So you say yes to too many people at the same time trying to help everybody out, you end up helping nobody out.
Yeah.
And then hurting yourself along the way. And that's what happened. I said yes, and I was doing too many things for too many people, and I'm the one that ultimately suffered, and it, burned some bridges along the way, unintentionally, but that's how it happens. When I should have stopped, like you said earlier, stop, take a deep breath, you wouldn't have ran over the BMW. If instead of saying yes, say no first, and then say, let me think about it, and just have an open communication.
Yeah. And that's what, with myself, I'm ADHD highly. And
so am I.
I've had to teach myself to think before I act, because I have a tendency that, it was like somebody'd walk in 5 minutes after we're done with the podcast and they'd be like, hey, we're moving in our upstairs office, come help us. And we'd be like, sure. And we just run up there and help them start moving. And then we'd go, crap, we just missed that meeting with that client. So you've got to stop and you've got to think about what you're doing before you do it. And that exactly. Most 99.9% of the mistakes that I've made is because I didn't think first, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's that hard conversation I had with my wife sitting on the couch. And she said, listen, you're killing yourself, you're killing us, and you're killing everybody else. So just stop, take a deep breath, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So those are some hard lessons to learn, but I think I'm on the other side of it now. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's something about that that's really relaxing when you realize that it doesn't matter. You're in control of it. So many people, we get wound up and we're like, oh my God, if something happens and then I'd lose my job. And then you're like, I play this game in my mind it's really stupid, but I always go, okay, what's the worst that can happen? And I go, and then I die, right?
And then you die. Yeah.
That's it. And then I die. And then I don't have to worry about it because I'm dead. So it's like, okay, if is it that bad? Is it a and then I die situation? No, I burned through the paint on a car. I got to repaint it. Luckily, I can repaint it myself.
You got the skills.
So what the hell? I'll just burn through and just see what happens.
Start over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of the time it's like that, unless it's a relationship, right? And that's the thing is that's what's important to us. And my wife and I have been married 36 years.
Congratulations. That's a long time.
I have 3 kids, and my kids have come to me and called me on the carpet.
So
my middle daughter is very, very sharp, like pinpoint. And she's told me, she's like, hey, you're kind of being an ass. And I have to step back and take a look at that. And I think that,
well, you don't go, but I'm dad.
Yeah, but I'm dad.
Dude,
no. But Jody and I were in a similar
situation. You're a donkey right now. That's what she was saying.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, Jody and I traveled to 24 different locations in 1 year.
That's taxing.
It was insane. And we had, there was another one where I looked at my Google Maps and I had been to like 34 cities in a single year that I'd never been to before. And it was the same thing. It was a sit down and kind of, hey, this is great. You guys have got your name out there. People know who you are, but you're going to kill yourself if you keep doing this.
Yep. And for what? What's the ultimate goal? What was the ultimate goal, and was it worth it? Most times it's not.
Yeah.
Have you found that as you've been more selective and staying home that your business has grown?
Yes. I'm more real and more authentic. Whereas before, you have to remember, all that comes from my childhood of having a disability. So I always thought I had to say yes for people to like me. So you get in a pattern of that, you become really good after the lessons learned. So there's a lot of lessons in that. And I didn't have to say yes. I should have said no a lot more, and I should have raised my prices more a long time ago. So, I mean, but that all stems from having a disability.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because I like that thought of it's easy to say yes.
Yes.
When did you learn to start saying yes to Jason?
Well, my wife told me to.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
And over again. Yeah.
Well, and again, I think it's that fear, right? We fear that if we say no, and then the business goes away, right? Jody and I were in a similar situation, and we had to learn to say no to certain customers because it's too much. It would take you over, and they're pushy, and it's not worth it in the end, right? And I think that's where being introspective about that and looking, like you said, what is the real goal here, right? Yeah. And so many people chase unrealistic expectations that are given to them by another person. And I was on a detailing forum the other day, and somebody said, "What's the biggest problem?" I don't usually respond to those because I don't want to get into the bashing.
Well, the first problem, you're on a detail forum.
Yeah. There you go. So the thing that I look at is somebody else telling you how you should do it, right? Not helping you do what you want to do, but it's the people that'll be like, if you're not making 6 figures every single year as a detailer, you're a failure. And you're like,
well, I'm a huge failure because I never have yet.
Yeah, I know people that are in a community where the average income is $43,000 a year. And you think a detailer is going to make $100,000 in that environment? You should be making what you want to make, what you're comfortable, and what your environment allows you to do.
If you're happy and you're making $45,000, who cares?
Right. And
they're not living your life. You are.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter at all.
Yep. That's exactly
it has zero realm on it at all.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And I know people that I know a guy that he has a business. He's had it for over 40 years, and it's not in the automotive industry, but he had at one time he had like 4 crews of people, and he was making millions of dollars a year. He got rid of like all the crew, and it was just him and 3 other guys. And he made less money, but he had more in his pocket because his overhead and his margin became better. It doesn't matter if you make $99 million a year, but you spend $98,999,000, you didn't make any money.
And most people do.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that being comfortable in your own skin. And I think probably you more than anybody, you've had to learn that, like you said, with the disability, you've had to learn to be comfortable in your own skin and let everybody else just piss off. They can do whatever they want.
But that took me 44 years to finally realize that. Yeah. Right. So there's a lot of things I did wrong, not intentionally, but I'm like, man, I should have said this and I shouldn't have said that. And I should have, it's just, you go over and over in your head. And, my wife is like, you got to stop. Just be careful what you say in the first place, and you won't have to apologize.
See, and that right there, that is one of the biggest things, because this little guy right here, this little circle.
I hear it as I'm saying it.
This little circle right here, that's the problem, is the things come out, and then you go,
I'm thinking,
I should not have done that.
Yep. I tell my son, I said, did God give you 2 ears? Uh-huh. Did he give you 1 mouth? Uh-huh. Okay, use your ears and not your mouth.
Right.
Well, and it's hard. So you said something there that I'd like to explore a little bit. You talk about kind of that second guessing and going, oh man, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. How have you balanced like learning how to wrestle with the mistakes of the past and becoming who you are today, with just being authentic with the journey of growing?
Let me think about that for 1 second here. Because my relationship with God and what he put me on this earth for has nothing to do with me. Everything to do with him. And he's allowed me to do some really cool things, but it's ultimately not me, it's him. So if I put that into perspective, I'm just doing what I think he wants me to do. Whether it's good, bad, or wrong, So
I think
go ahead.
I think one of the challenges that we have as men in particular is there's this expectation of success. There's this expectation of who we should be as husbands, as fathers, as men and stuff. And I think sometimes we get caught up in this checklist of things that we should do or we shouldn't do, instead of focusing on who are we becoming as a person. So, when you look at Jason, and especially I think sometimes it's easy to heighten, the experience that you've been through because of a disability. And dude, I am not discounting that, right? But who are you really coming? I had a really amazing discussion last week with Jessica Smith. Jessica Smith is an Australian Paralympic swimmer. And dude, she is just this amazing woman that talks about being able to do something and opening doors for people and helping them see the ability in them. And she said something really interesting as we were having this group conversation. She said, you know, I'm just a Paralympian. I'm not an Olympian.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Jessica, whoa, let's step back. I go, you are a Paralympian. I'm fully abled, and you would spank me in a butterfly swim.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we discount our experience as individuals, and we focus on what we can't do instead of what we can do, and more importantly, what we can become.
Yeah.
So as you look at your life and you look at what you've become as a father, as a husband, as a business owner, are you happy with who you've become?
No, I mean,
why not?
Yes, but I know that I'll never achieve what I want to achieve. So every day I try to get a little bit better, knowing that I'll never reach perfection until the other side of heaven, until God calls me home. That's when my journey's done, and that's why I say hammer down.
Yeah.
So hammer down started as my mentor John Byers. I would burn paint, so he'd say hammer down. So now hammer down means do the best you can do for that day, and at the end of the day, be done.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Did you do your best? You could do. Was it a bad day? Yeah, maybe. Was it a good day? Yeah, maybe. Who cares either way? But at the end of the day, know that when your head goes on the pillow, that you did the very best you could do with the right attitude, treating people correctly, and being done.
Yeah, and I think that that's important. Like for in your instance, you know, you rely on your faith and your belief, and I think that one of the things about that is that everybody can find something that helps ground them like that. Whether that's a family member, whether that's religion, whether that's, you know, friends. But I've had a saying that I learned several years ago that was, in the past, when you look at it, I can look at a day that I made a mistake, right? And I can go, that was horrible. I could have done better. And somebody said to me, they said, no, you couldn't have. You did the best you could at the time. So don't worry about what you could have done. Worry about what you can do now. And that's where I think those past things can come back to help us. And you say, okay, this time when I do that thing again, I'm going to do it differently, and I'm going to do the best I can for today. You're still going to make mistakes, like you said. I think that's what's important. You're still going to make mistakes, but you're going to do the best you possibly can. And if you keep that in mind, and the things that I've learned is that I can go back, yeah, it is a Enter the Sandman. I can go back and I can rectify some of those situations. Right. One of the early memory I have is when I was a teenager, and I was a lot. Okay. I was a really lot. My mother probably should get an award. I had a lot of problems. I got arrested twice by the same cop in the same day. I took cars. I rode motorcycles on the street that were dirt bikes when I was like 14. I was a lot. And one time my mom asked me something, and I just turned and screamed at her. And for whatever reason, I got consciousness right then. And I literally, in my own head, I was like, that was not right. And I walked back into the room and I said, hey, I'm really sorry. That was not appropriate. And I shouldn't have treated you that way. And my mom broke down in tears, and she was like, dude, you kind of woke up, you know? And I think that is one of those things, is realize that you can fix some of those past mistakes. Some of them you can't. But do, like you said, do the best you can, stay grounded, and find that thing that keeps you there. I know that Jody and I, we've known each other for a really long time, 30 plus years. And our families are everything to us. You know, right now, if Jody's phone went off and his wife said, I need you right now, he would stand up from this podcast, and so would I, and walk out. And he knows that I would cover for him and he would cover for me. And that's what I think is important, is having, like you said, a good support system around you. And if you don't have that good support system, go find it.
You have to, yeah. Because we're not supposed to be lone rangers. That's why we weren't created to be alone. You know, so yeah, those people that think they can just muscle it out, it doesn't work. It might work for the short term, but it's not a good succession plan down the road.
No.
Well, and I like what you said about you can use your decisions to help you, right? And the moment you said that, I thought about this. It's like the experiences and the decisions that you made in the past can either haunt you or help you. You choose.
Yep.
So are you going to embrace the lesson and become, or are you going to be haunted by the past and be stuck?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that sometimes being honest with yourself is the hardest thing, right? Especially us as men, we shove it deep down and we're like, that's fine, whatever. I said that and I should, whatever, it's his fault, you know? Well, no, really, it was your fault. You shouldn't have said it. So, you know, you don't have to be haunted by that, because then you're just living in the past, but you just, you know, take it for what it is and say, you know what, I just need to be careful what I say, what I think, and think about whatever I say might have a negative decision or a consequence for what I'm going to say. So just take a deep breath and think it through for 2 seconds.
Yep. And I think the really important lesson is stay off the detailing forums and remove the keyboard. You can certainly look at social media, but remove the keyboard, because there's so many people that have fired off an idiotic response to something that doesn't matter. And I honestly, one of the things that I think 2020 and COVID really did that was helpful is it helped ground everybody. It helped us realize what was important. And, you know, it was this doomsday scenario that didn't turn out to be doomsday, but I think people were like, and we had, in Idaho, it was crazy because we hit COVID, and like a week into COVID, everywhere in the country was shutting down. And then we had an earthquake. And so it literally was like fire and brimstone. The world's coming to an end. And it was really, really calming for me. I don't know why, but it was just calming. My wife and kids and I, we just took off. We went up. We have some property in the mountains, and we just hung out there for weeks at a time and just got away from everything. And I think it helps ground people. But I think that without kind of a catastrophe like that, everybody has that point in their life, I think, if they're smart, that they've hit that point, whether it's the couch, whether it's the, you know, COVID, or whether it's just having a conversation with the guy in the mirror. And it's great because this is Men's Mental Health Month.
And we're going deep, baby.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important. And you know, it's funny because one of the things that I don't like the term disabled. You know, and we've used that a lot in the podcast, and I talked to Carter about it as well. It's funny because everybody has something. But it's either a mental thing or you have a physical block. And until you have something happen to you, like Jody said, fully abled, several months ago, last year, my dog jumped off out of my arms and I went to catch him and I snapped the ligament in my arm completely off the bone. And I literally had no arm. And it was a really good lesson for me because it taught me a couple of things. One, I have a really strong support system, which again, everybody needs, but it also helped me mentally that I had to ask for help, which is really, really hard for men, right? Everybody, we all have hard time,
especially doing a lift kit on the Jeep.
Yeah, exactly. My 22-year-old daughter put a lift kit on my Jeep for me while I had my arm gone. But in your life, with your experience, how hard is it for you to ask for help compared to?
It's easy. Hey, I need help. Just like that.
Yep.
I don't even think twice. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm bad at, and I don't try the things I'm bad at. I don't even attempt it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
My greatest ability is my disability. I wouldn't have been the person I am, and you wouldn't be able to see the true me without my disability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that is deep.
Yeah.
That is deep.
Right.
You would not be able to see the true you without it. Because why do you think that is?
Because that's what God created. He created me to be the way I am, and he's given me the opportunities and the blessings and the people along the way to help me see that.
Right.
Yeah,
And the tenacity. I think it's the tenacity.
Yeah,
And most people after 8 years, if they had, I mean, like Jody, he tried to do PPF one day at a training and he was horrible at it. And he's constantly saying, I can't do PPF, I can't do PPF, I can't do PPF. It's a matter of that block, right?
But it's me changing this, right? It's me changing this to go, you know what, I can do that. I can learn that. And somewhere along the line, Jason had to see Jason.
Yep. I had to see why I was truly created and be okay with that. This is not my fault, that cerebral palsy. Right? It's really not. I was born that way, but I was born that way for a reason. I truly believe that, to show other people what can be done with what you have, not what you don't have.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah,
dude,
don't focus on what you don't have.
Yep, that's perfect. I think, again, a big business lesson. Focus on what you have. Don't focus on what you don't have.
I mean, I don't even have any depth perception. I shouldn't even be driving a vehicle realistically.
Right.
You know, so, you know, it's just, you should see me drive a go-kart. That's really funny. You know, so it's just being real and authentic.
Yeah.
I love
and
that.
being
I think
perfectly okay with that.
Yeah. And to me, it's like you've had to be super honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And so that helps you to break down those walls of, you know, so many times I think that, again, as men, we think we have to be a certain way. We have to be this big macho and do all this stuff. And there's so many of us that are just not. I mean, that's just not the reality. So, man, I think Jody and I could probably talk to you for like 6 hours straight.
I've loved this conversation.
So Jake,
I think I'm gonna write a book.
You should. You really should.
Rennie Doyle, actually, when I was at Big Bear, we sat down for lunch and he's like, Kilmer, you need to write a book. He goes,
Jody.
And I've talked to Kevin too and Davis, and he's like, Kilmer, you need to write a book. Like,
Jody's written
that
a couple of
you
books
went
too.
through.
Yeah.
For sure. I just don't know how to do it, but we'll get
talk
there.
to Jody.
Jason,
talk to
me.
Jody. He's done several of them. Yeah, for sure.
I'll be glad to help you.
Yeah. So guys,
good.
follow.
I'm gonna need all the help I can get.
Follow Jason on Instagram, JK Automotive Detailing at Jason Killmer with 2 L's, not one.
2 L's.
Big important part there. Reach out through Jonathan Munson to find out training if you want to be there.
Shout out to
Jonathan.
Absolutely
is fantastic.
That guy's smart.
Go take a training and learn how to do this the right way, because it can be another tool in your belt is sanding. It doesn't have to be something you do with every car.
No, but it's good to know.
It's really good to know, and it's also one of those things that you can get over that fear that you're gonna, kill a car by doing it. And then follow RoadFS DetailBookie on the podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. All that good garbage.
Jason, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I've
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
dude, man,
I really appreciate it. And when we come the next time we're in the Seattle, Washington area, we're gonna have
come on by.
We'll have to do that.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate your time. Hope you have a great day getting on those 6 cars.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, he's got 5 fingers, so he could do, 5 at a time there.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much, brother.
Man.
You have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
You guys listening, thank you so much. And we will check you on Saturday
live from Peterson Automotive Museum.
Check you later.